I remember this weekend like it was yesterday, even though I'm 28 now, and it happened when I was 15. My dad took me and my little brother, Eli, up to a rental cabin deep in the state forest for the first cold weekend of October. It was kind of our thing, one last guy's trip before school, and sports swallowed everything. At first, I was excited because it felt like a mini vacation with no rules. Dad packed steaks in a cooler, brought a deck of cards, and even let us pick out candy at the gas station before the last stretch of highway. The cabin was small but perfect. Wood stove, bunk beds, a porch swing that creaked in a way that felt cozy, not scary. We got there while it was still light out. Dad unlocked the door with the key from the lockbox and pushed it open with his shoulder, like he'd done it 100 times. Inside, it smelled like pine cleaner and old smoke. Not fresh cigarette smoke, more like it had soaked into the walls years ago. The first weird thing happened before we even unpacked. There was a single boot print on the kitchen linoleum, big tread, wet, like someone had just walked in from outside. I stared at it longer than I should have. Dad glanced down and shrugged. Probably the guy who came to check it this morning, I wanted to say, but the rest of the floor is clean. Instead, I didn't want to seem paranoid, so I nodded and helped Eli claim the top bunk. We spent the afternoon doing normal cabin stuff. We hiked down to the creek. We threw rocks. Eli found a stick he swore was a spear and carried it like he was guarding us. When it started to get dark, we came back, lit the stove, and cooked. The whole place felt safe in that warm orange way cabins do when it's cold outside. That's why the next glitch felt so wrong. When Dad opened the cooler, the bag of ice was half gone. Not melted, gone. The cooler still felt cold. The water at the bottom was minimal, like someone had reached in and taken chunks. Dad frowned and then laughed it off. We probably bought less than I thought. I almost argued. I remembered him dumping a whole bag in at the gas station. I could picture it, but again, I convinced myself it wasn't worth making a thing out of. We were in the woods. There were 100 small explanations. After dinner, Eli fell asleep fast. He always did, especially after hiking. Dad and I played cards at the little table while the wind pushed at the cabin like a giant hand testing it. The porch swing creaked, the stove popped, the kind of sounds that are comforting until they aren't. Around 11:30, Dad yawned and said we should turn in. He did his dad sweep of the place, checking the front door and the back door that led to the porch. He even jiggled the windows. "That's that," he said, and clicked off the overhead light. The cabin didn't go black. The stove still glowed. Moonlight leaked through the curtains. I laid in the bottom bunk under Eli, listening to him breathe. That's when I heard it. A soft, slow scrape against the side of the cabin. Not a branch, not the wind. It sounded like something being dragged carefully, trying not to make noise. I held my breath and listened harder. Then came a few muted thumps on the porch. Footsteps, the boards barely complaining, like whoever it was knew exactly where to step. I whispered, "Dad!" He didn't answer right away. Then I heard his mattress shift. "Probably a raccoon," he muttered, half asleep. The porch creaked again, this time closer to the door. I stared at the back doorknob until my eyes hurt. I could see the silhouette of it in the dim light. I told myself the same thing Dad did. Animals. Wind. My brain kept trying to smooth it over. Then Eli moved on the top bunk and whispered something I'll never forget. "Why isn't Scout barking?" Scout was our dog. We didn't bring him because the cabin rules didn't allow pets. But Eli wasn't dreaming. He sounded fully awake. It hit me that we'd been hearing things for a while now, and my body had been waiting for a dog bark to make it normal, to make it just wildlife. Without it, there was nothing between us and whatever was outside. I heard a different sound then, not footsteps, breathing, right on the other side of the back door. Slow, through the cracks. Dad sat up so fast the bed frame creaked. He whispered, "Stay put." His voice was flat, but I could hear the strain in it. He grabbed the heavy flashlight from the table and stepped into the tiny main room. I stayed frozen, staring at the doorway, listening to his socks slide softly on the floor. The back doorknob turned, not a rattle, not a test. A full, calm turn, like the person knew it wasn't deadbolted. The door opened an inch. Dad swung the flashlight beam onto the crack, and a man's face appeared in it, close enough that the light made his pupils shrink. He didn't flinch, he didn't run. He just looked in, like he was checking if the room was empty. He was maybe mid-30s, beard patchy, cheeks hollow, wearing a damp hoodie and work gloves. He had a backpack on one shoulder. Dad said, loud and sharp, "Get out, now!" The man's eyes moved past Dad, toward the bunks, toward me, toward Eli. And then, in the calmest voice, he said, "I'm not here to hurt you. I just need it warm for a minute." The way he said it made my stomach drop, like it was negotiable, like we were the ones intruding. Dad stepped forward and shoved the door shut with his forearm. I heard the deadbolt click for the first time that night. "Call 911, Dad said, without looking back. There was no cell service. We'd joked about it earlier. Dad knew it too. That was the worst part. We all knew it at once. The back door handle started moving again, slowly, patiently, like he was testing what we'd done. Then came a soft knock, not aggressive, almost polite. Knock. Knock. Eli started to cry quietly above me. Dad backed toward us with the flashlight raised, and that's when I saw his other hand. He'd picked up the cast iron skillet from the counter. The knocking stopped. For a few seconds, there was nothing but the stove popping. Then we heard the sound of something sliding under the cabin. A low, scraping crawl, directly beneath the floorboards. Dad's eyes widened. He whispered, "He's under us." We spent the rest of the night locked in that cabin, with the stove turned up and every light on, listening to occasional bumps under the floor, like someone shifting positions, like someone settling in. At first light, Dad got us out fast. We ran to the truck, tires spitting gravel, and drove until we had service. He called the police with shaking hands. When deputies went back with us, they didn't find him in the woods. They found him under the cabin. There was a loose access panel behind the wood pile. Under there was a crawl space big enough for a person to live in if they didn't mind dirt and spiders and being forgotten. There were flattened cardboard pieces, an empty whiskey bottle, food wrappers, and a pile of stolen things from other cabins. Flashlights, knives, keys on little labeled tags, like trophies. One deputy pulled a backpack out and opened it. Inside was a Ziploc bag with photos, not ours, dozens of family pictures, couples on porches, kids by campfires, people smiling in front of the same cabin sign. The deputy told my dad, "He's been watching who comes in. He keeps these." That was the detail that made it feel less like a random break-in and more like a habit, a routine. They caught him 2 days later when he tried the same thing at another rental down the road. Same calm demeanor, same story, just needed warmth. I still think about the way he looked through that crack in the door, not surprised to see us, almost annoyed, like we'd taken his spot for the weekend. And every time I hear a porch board creak at night, my brain doesn't go to raccoons anymore. It goes to a hand turning a doorknob, slowly, like it already belongs to someone else.